Hi everybody, hope you guys are doing well today. I am making a palm nut soup, which is popular in Ghana. These are the palm nuts here. I have already rinsed and soaked these with some hot water, so it looks like this. Just make sure to rinse and clean them very well and drain out the water before you add it to your pot to cook. Make sure you rinse them. Now these palm nuts grow on palm trees and people use it to make all kinds of stuff. The kernels, they call them palm nut kernels. And in Ghana, palm nut soup is very popular. Now for my palm nut soup is going to be pescatarian. I am mainly a pescatarian or vegan, vegetarian person. I mostly eat fish and vegetables and all that. I do not eat red meats like chicken or beef or anything like that, but I do eat seafood because I find that a pescatarian diet works best for me personally. So my palm nut soup is not going to include any meat or red meats, and it's not going to include dairy. Like I mentioned before, I do eat fish, so I will be adding seafood things to this. Now, if you want the vegan option, because I make a lot of vegan food myself, just for the fact that I don't eat a lot of red meats, so a lot of the time, a lot of what I cook is already vegan. So if you don't want it to be vegan, basically what you would do is instead of this kind of shrimp Maggi cube, you would use a vegetable Maggi cube instead, or you can make your own vegetable stock. It's very easy to make. And to make this soup vegan, they have the veggie version of the Maggi cube, which doesn't have any seafood in it, any seafood ingredients in it. So you can get the veggie one. And instead of, the fish for flavoring, because people add fish or meat to their palm nut soup, just for flavoring, and it's part of the traditional way of making palm nut soup in Ghana and West Africa and all that. So they usually add fish for like flavoring, or they add lots of meat to make it a meat soup. So instead of, the fish and all that, you can add different types of herbs, ginger, a spicy pepper, scotch bonnet, thyme, whatever herbs you have in your kitchen. And you, of course, add your tomatoes. We're adding tomatoes to this. And you can add tomato paste if you want it to be very saucy and red. So onion and garlic. So as many herbs as possible, just to make up for the lack of meat and all that. Or you can add faux meat to your palm nut soup if you want to make it a vegan meat soup. You can add faux meat to it. And usually people add like chicken or beef. They add all kinds of meat to their soup. It really depends on the family in Ghana. But this recipe, it's definitely customizable. You can add whatever you want, take out whatever you want. If you don't really like these types of ingredients, you can use other ones instead. I know some people, they add other like herbs and seasonings and flavors to this kind of palm nut soup. So it's really, you can really like customize it or personalize it to your taste and to your preference, okay? So after you rinse the palm kernels in the water, or soak it in the water, after you soak these in the water and you rinse them off and all that, make sure it's hot water, because you want to get rid of any kind of dirt or things that have any kind of germs or anything that has been on this. You're gonna add it to your pot and fill up the pot at the top with water. So let's go. This pot here. Them in. And we're gonna boil these for about half an hour. You can do 20 minutes to half an hour. Okay, so we're gonna add the water now. Just cover it to the top. And gonna boil it for around 20 minutes to 30 minutes, half an hour. So I'm gonna cover it over, let it boil. And then we're gonna have to strain it, and we're gonna have to pound it with a mortar and pestle. It would be ideal if you have a deeper one than this, but this is what I have here. This is just the one I have here. And for straining, yeah, we have this one here, but this is the strainer that we're going to use for the pulp and all that. We're gonna use this strainer here to basically catch all the fiber from the kernels. The fiber is very thick and all that, and you can't put it in the soup because it's too thick and you can't really eat it. It's just a lot of fiber, so you need to strain it and all that. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like when the kernels get soft. They have to get soft. They have to get soft after boiling, and you have to kind of remove the fiber with the strainers. With the strainers, you have to remove the fiber, and you have to pound it as well. Okay, so while I am waiting for the palm kernels to boil, I just wanted to mention that people sometimes add okra on top as garnish, and eggs. I don't eat eggs, but I have people in my family that eat eggs, so you can add eggs if you want to on top of your soup as a garnish, and eggplants. So especially, you know, if you are vegan, it would be good to add the eggplant and the okra. You can exclude the eggs, but if you are more of a vegetarian person then, and you eat dairy and all that, then you can add the eggs if you want. But if you're a vegan, you can just do, if you have eggplant at home, you can just do eggplant and okra as garnish, and these are vegetables. Also, you know, if you want to increase the amount of protein, because I said, you know, I'm already putting fish in mine, but if you are vegan and you still want to include protein in this, you can add beans, like mung beans, you know, as a replacement for the meat and the fish and all that. If you don't eat those things, you can just put some beans in this soup instead. So like mung beans, black-eyed peas, like black-eyed beans, whatever beans you have, you can add that to the soup as an alternative. So I've been pounding this for quite some time now. I had removed the nut, the seed in the middle, and it's soaking in some warm water just to get off any of the extra flesh and pulp. So you can see the liquid is like this. So what you can do is this pulp to the side, rinse these nuts, these seeds in the water, in a container. And we're gonna save the water from this and add some of our pulp to it. That way we get the most out of our product. And the warm water is gonna help the flesh kind of come off. See, like that? The flesh is coming off. So with the warm water, you kind of just remove the flesh like this. After putting warm water on these seeds, these nuts, squeeze off the pulp, and the water got like this. So you just kind of strain it, strain the remaining water in here. Then you can throw it out. So mash this as much as possible with your mortar and pestle. Then you'll start to see the puree come off of the fibrous part. The fibrous part is kind of like the string that you see, the fibrous string. So to mash, you need to mash it to separate the pulp from the fiber strings. And what we're gonna do is get a little bit of the pulp, a handful, rinse it in this water, hot water, warm water or hot water is best. And you're gonna remove, see the fibrous string, the fiber strings. You're gonna remove those thick strings. Just strain it with your hand. Put it in a container. Remove the rest to make sure this is concentrated. See the strings here. And do a little bit at a time. And after we add all of this to our water here, if it's a bit too cold or anything like that, you can just add more hot water. But after we do all this, we're going to be straining it in here to make sure the fiber does not end up in this final mixture. Take out the fiber with your hands so it's going to become more concentrated. So I removed as much fiber as possible with my hand. This one is very concentrated here, and you can see the pulp. I'm gonna have to kind of go around the edges with a spoon because a lot of the pulp ended up on the edges, but the mixture should be kind of cloudy like this, thick and cloudy. Now, I'm going to add this to my mixture here and then strain everything. And by the way, just be careful when you are doing this, because it can get everywhere. Like, I mean, everywhere, all on your clothes, your kitchen towels. So if you're doing this, I'm just adding the pulp on the edges here. When you're doing this, just make sure you wear something not so new, because it can basically stain everything, especially if you're wearing white. It will really stain white clothing and all that, because it's very strong color. So just, wear something old when you're doing this. Time to strain it. Just move your hand around like this, because it will take some time for the water to go down a bit. See, it's kind of taking its time because there's a lot of pulp and still some fiber, even though I did take it out with my hands. And any of the extra fiber, you can just put it here with the other pile. So you just go work through with your hands. The fiber off to the side and strain all the liquid like this. See, it's very concentrated now. very concentrated now. And you can see how nice and cloudy and thick it is, and that's what we want. We want the mixture to be concentrated. So it's gonna look like this when it's done. And then we can use it as the base for our soup and stews. Banga stew and all that. Just to make sure we get all of our extract out of this, we're gonna take the fiber again. I'm gonna take the fiber again just to make sure we extract all the pulp and all the juice concentrate from this. And we are going to add some hot water, warm water, and rinse it out again to ensure we have gotten all of the pulp out of it. So you're just gonna mix it around with your hand like so. Squeeze it out like this. Squeeze it out. Ensure you've extracted everything as much as possible. We're gonna throw that away. Now, some people save the seed, the nuts that I showed you earlier to make palm oil. Now, I'm not going to be making that today, but we don't throw away every part of the palm. We use it as much as possible. So to get palm oil, we would use the seeds for that. But I'm not going to be doing that right now. I just want this for my palm nut soup. Okay, so I've squeezed out as much as possible. So we're gonna add this to the rest of the concentrate, right? And just to make sure that everything goes down, use your hand or a spoon. Like that. And the concentrate is pretty thick. It will be pretty thick like this. And you can use it for the base of your soup, palm nut soup. Okay, I added the green onion. This is the finished soup. This is the finished soup. It should be nice and thick. It's the okra. And I'm going to have it with my black-eyed peas. You can see the eggplant and the okra. And you can serve this with fufu at the side or inside of it. I'm just putting my beans on top now. There we go. So it has some extra protein. And of course this is good for vegans. And let me just get an okra. Let's garnish the okra at the side there. Like that. And it's done. It's really nice. Has a nice seafood flavor, and the okra and eggplant make it nice and thick. And of course the palm gives it a kind of pumpkin, musky nut smell and flavor. And I love how the okra kind of got dissolved a bit to make it more thick with the eggplant. And the beans, of course, have the proteins. Really good.